So good evening, everyone. I'm David, and tonight we've got a talk with Kerrie. So probably be a few more people turn up as we go, but 7 o'clock we like to be prompt and on the ball. So the format for the night, Kerrie's going to tell us some different areas of her life and what she's been up to and so forth. And if you look at it now, you can see an interesting lounge room. There's not too many people with portholes and things like that in there. So we'll find out a bit about that down the track. But to start off with, Kerrie, not everybody may know you, so just tell us what your connection to Hobson's Bay Yacht Club is, because you've been sailing here for a while. What boat are you connected to?
Oh yeah, thanks David, and thanks for having me. I'm thrilled. I love Hobbo's Yacht Club. It's what's kept me in Williamstown. It's really helped me ground myself. But the background goes back, I don't know, 17 years or so. I moved down to Melbourne full time. My father, both my parents grew up here, and I would visit every holidays from Queensland to see Dad on Ann Street and help in the soap factory. And when I moved back down, I didn't have many mates. I used to go up to the Stag's Head Hotel and came across this gruff fella, Simon, and I was talking about charter boats and catamarans. I had charter boats in Queensland, and, you know, catamarans are the best. He goes, "You don't know anything." It's like, yeah, well, and he said, "Why don't you come sailing?" And I went, "Oh, cool, all right." So I met this motley crew, Hobson's Bay Yacht Club, probably 15 years ago. And, you know, we had the guys had airframe then, and met this amazing crew and these amazing, inspiring blokes that were very welcoming, down to earth. And I thought, yeah, these are my people, and this is perfect. So they were my first real mates, actually, when I moved down here full time. And so after a few years, and I became a member full time, and I'm still not much of a sailor because they do all the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it really gave me a sense of community, and I learned a lot from all of them, not just in sailing, in loads of ways. So I was very lucky to have that introduction from Simon, and been part of the crew in the syndicate for 10 years, and we've had our successes. Had a lot of fun along the way.
Yes.
The club's very dear to me. I don't spend nearly as much time as I'd like to down there because of other commitments, but you know, it's always going to be there, and I feel that I'll always feel comfortable there, regardless of the people that come and go. You know, the club. Yeah, it's a great.
So you probably meeting Simon Dickens in the Stag Hotel. That's fairly unique recruitment campaign that would be going on there. So
yes, it was, and fortunately for me, I guess I worked in a very heavy male-dominated industry for a decade prior, so I wasn't shied away by strong opinions.
Yeah, and of course you're now sailing on nuts, which is certainly a step up in a yacht. I've sailed on it once, and that's a nice piece of kit there. So it's taking everyone up that next level. Yeah,
it is. The Cape airframe, you know, is still my very favourite. The boys mucked around with the configuration a little bit. It became a little bit out of my technical realm, and then we sort of stepped down a bit to the southern, and now up to the Hick. And it's made, like I said, I haven't spent a lot of time racing, but I just love being on the water with the guys. I'm pretty much ballast, quite frankly. I do a few bits and pieces, and I don't like it when people touch my sheets, as Mickey will tell you. But I still feel part of the crew even when I'm not sailing. So yeah, I just want everybody to feel, you know, what you should when you're part of a crew and you feel you know, part of a team. It's really, really cool. I hope more people do it.
Yeah, and look, I think we're all looking forward to that going out sailing and just for the sake of sailing. I think that's something I'm certainly feeling after not doing it for 6 months. I don't really focusing on the racing so much. I just want to go sailing. Yeah. Now you mentioned about your parents living in Williamstown, but your grandparents also from Williamstown. Quite a history there. Maybe a little bit of a summary of that, if you could.
Yeah. Well, my father my father's parents, Nan, well, that's my mama and my father's father, moved to Williamstown in the early 50s, and they built a house in the Strand, number 49 the Strand, and they called it the Shenandoah. The Shenandoah. Dad never knew why, but it was 49 the Strand, and they moved from Essendon, much to my father's disgust, because he had to give up his racing pigeons and his dog when he was, whatever, 8. And he found sailing and fell in love with sailing, and then they moved their soap business from Fitzroy to Ann Street, and you know, Dad fell in love with sailing. He had a yacht, a 42-foot steel ketch built at the end of Ann Street. There used to be a boatyard there called Casey's Boatyard near the train station. And every summer I'd help Casey wet and dry, and it took Dad 10 years to have that ship built, or the yacht built, and he sailed around the world in it over another 10 years. So I guess my father was introduced to sailing through Williamstown as I was. But yeah, both grandparents built houses, one on the Strand and one on Osborne Street. You'd think I'd be very wealthy by now, but I'm impetuous with my money, as the boys well know. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say for it. But nonetheless, yeah, I feel a connection with Williamstown, and my sister and I every holidays would come ride our push bikes around Williamstown with our eyes closed. We knew every single street back to front. We also knew when the shipbuilding, the 10X site, when the smoko horn went, get off the street. There's a whole lot of painters and dockers are coming out of the pubs real soon, and don't be around there. I've got stories about that. So yeah. We've seen the changes happening. I mean, my father's house on Ann Street, corner of Ann and Aitken, there was a wool store all around that up into the POW, Prince Wales Hotel, and it was pretty rough, but it's very gentrified now, and I still have to marvel at what it's become, high density residential and a whole lot of new people enjoying Williamstown. And my father doesn't begrudge the development, nor do I, as long as people love Williamstown and make it better, you know, and love sailing.
So no,
it's a connection.
Yeah, no, I think we're all very very blessed to have it. I've lived in Williamstown only 8 years, so I don't know at what point you count yourself a local, but I think I've got a few more years yet, haven't I, Tony Dawson? I've got to wait a bit longer. Yeah, so we'll find out. And I should tell everyone, if you've got any questions at any time, if you use the chat function, type up the questions there, and I can then monitor those, and we'll go from there. So let's move on to that interesting lounge room that you're currently sitting in. Tell us that you're sitting on the ship now. Well, what's going on? Is it anyone else on the ship?
There's my dog. She's snoring down there. No, it's just me. So I live on Ann Street, actually next door to my father's soap factory. Another story altogether, but it's very easy. It's 100 metres. I walk down here in the morning. I'll have breakfast. I come down here in the afternoon and do. It used to be called the hour of power. Now it's turned into 3 or 4 hours of power. Well, I do work, and I've got a volunteer that comes down regularly, and we improve the ship and the spaces. But it wasn't my intention. It's still, you've got to come and have a look. We've done a lot of work, and I love the connection between the Shenandoah Confederate raider anti-whaling ship 155 years ago to this site, and the fact that now this ship, also a famous anti-whaling ship, are both here. And that connection is what made Seaworks the site it is. So yeah, I'm sitting in the mess, not the lounge room. Come on, Dave. So there's a little bit of it there, you see. We're both moved out a little bit, but exhibitions and events.
We're just losing a little bit of your.
Interrupt them as they have for 5 months. Yes? No?
Your internet wasn't. Just after you moved around, I think you're back.
I shouldn't touch my computer. There you go.
Don't. First thing, don't.
Okay, I won't touch it.
Yeah. But it certainly looks pretty modern.
Don't touch the computer.
Yeah. So.
No, it's great. Come and see it for yourself. Yeah, come and critique.
A quick hands up. Who has been on board? We've got the video. Who's been on board? Oh, you've got only Brian so far. So you've got plenty of people that you need to get out there and get on board. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? And that's what it's about. Come on, tell me what you think. Good, bad, or indifferent. Just
Yeah.
come and find out what's real, what's happening.
Yeah.
Come and have a look at the engine room. We've opened that up now too with the new ship tour. Oh boy, Colin Leakes dives on the ship regularly, and you know, we've learned to understand this ship from every aspect. So I want more people to come and tell me what they think, good, bad, or indifferent.
Okay, I'm just going to go back a step. Colin Leak cleans the hull. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How long does that take him?
Well, you've seen one of his arms. Pretty good. So he'll do about a 2-meter waterline clean and inspection of the hull, the anodes, and just check it and make sure it's good.
Yeah.
I've got a separate corrosion specialist, and we also have an independent corrosion system on the ship. So we've got really good governance.
Yeah.
He came because I see his little, you know, he's got this little Zodiac, turns up with his dive gear on. Actually was this week actually turned up. So what's Colin doing here? Before I know it, he's in the water with his bloody scraper and his GoPro thing and checking out, sending me stuff on the hull and that. So it was never my intent, but it's been a really interesting mission to understand and to have the consultation that we have from a lot of people's points of view, industry experts.
So how did you, let's look at your story and the story of the ship. So I think most people have an idea of what the ship did. How did you get connected to the ship? How did it all begin?
Well, in short, as short as I can make it, my father sold the lightning part of the business, his business, his soap business, of which I worked for 15 years. And it's like, okay. So I did a handover with Penrite, the company that bought it. And if you're not working for your family business, it's very hard to have the passion for somebody else. So I did the handover. Then I thought, right, what do I want to do next? And I thought, you know, I'd love to get back into charter boats because that's what I left in Queensland to come and sell soap for Dad, which I loved. And I bought a charter boat, bought it back from Perth, and then I got a job at the SB Hotel when they first opened again. Don't do that if you're 45 years old. Don't work in a bar like the SB. It was hard. And I was fortunate enough to have a part-time job doing events management at SeaWorks here for their festivals, and it was great. I was very proud of the site, of course, involved in the early days and hadn't been involved for 10 years, so I was very proud to see what had been created. And I just popped in to see Sea Shepherd to say, g'day, how are you guys going? I'd done a couple of fundraisers for my birthdays and so forth, and it's a movement that I'm very passionate about. And Max, who's the administrator, said, haven't you heard, you know, they've sold the ship to Hong Kong to be scrapped. Well, that doesn't make sense. It's back in Melbourne because the mooring's more accessible than Brisbane, and we need to get our paperwork in order because apparently they didn't have a certificate of operation to leave Australian waters. So they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do with this ship? What's going to happen? So I put together an idea just to have a pop-up museum or a bar or whatever we could do just over summer to try and get somebody to step up to look at the opportunity for the ship other than being scrapped after all the due diligence to say that it shouldn't be. And that turned into a binding heads of agreement with Sea Shepherd and myself to do a pop-up. And we did that, and that was all going great. So I had the complete ship survey done, which wasn't cheap, and liquor license application, building inspection report, safety audit, all the things you need to do. And then the Sea Shepherd said, you know what, in reflection, this is not what we do. We're a direct action conservation movement. We really don't want to be involved with the next mission of the ship. Do you want it? Essentially. And I went, what? No, thanks. I've had charter boats. And that was enough.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. I guess I got to a tipping point where we'd already come so far with the ship survey and all the due diligence that we've done and spent. It's like, So I set up a not-for-profit that runs the ship, and their constitution is for education of ocean conservation to benefit Sea Shepherd. And so we still fly under Sea Shepherd's flag. The stipulation mainly being that the ship is run as vegan and that we contribute to Sea Shepherd's education and hopefully, eventually, financial benefit for their ongoing campaigns. And it's it just, you know what, in 6 months, we had all the due diligence done, a not-for-profit set up, and it had happened. It just happened. And I guess I wouldn't have done it if I was responsible for anything other than myself. It is a massive, if I had $1 for everyone that said it's a massive undertaking, of course. But I believe in it. I believe in it for my favourite mantra. I've been in sales all my life is selling is storytelling. If you can tell a really great story, you've sold an idea or a product or a lifestyle or a condo or a car or a boat. This is the story of Williamstown. This is the story of conservation, and this ship tells a story better than I can, better than and I do believe it's an asset for Williamstown and Seaworks and the connection with anti-whaling from 155 years ago. It just all made sense to me, and I thought, why not? I'll have a red hot crack. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. So that's what we're doing, and I'm really proud of it. I love it, and I'm not put off. I mean, I owe 15 grand worth of mooring fees and all sorts of shit. But, the intent is to have everything sorted. We've got loads of great things planned. And I think I'm lucky that I've had a crack at a lot of things in my life. I'm very resilient at dealing with adversity. And there's been a lot. But I still believe in it, probably even more. It's probably resonated my intent even more. So... So I just want people to come and see it for themselves and find out for themselves. There's been a lot of people that made judgments without being involved or coming and seeing. So I want people to come and see and let me know what they think. And
So obviously the virus and lockdown hasn't how's that impacted on things for you and the ship?
Well, we've cancelled 3 major events. One, the National Heritage Festival, which was a big deal, and that probably directly cost revenue of about $15,000. And obviously not being able to have the ship open for revenue. I'm responsible for that. So that's it. Apart from that, that's all that it's affected. The upside of the pandemic and the shutdown is the amount of work and improvement that we've done to the ship aesthetically, rust recovery, paint, more safety, more single flow access to the ship, better functionality, considerations to waste now that we can't do pump outs because we don't have access to cars on the pier, has improved the ship a lot, more so than if we did it over years. I mean, it's elevated the functionality of the ship far more so because that's all we've got to focus on.
So it's not just you. You do have a team, a small team. Who's helping you out?
I have a very dedicated volunteer who is a carpenter, and he spends, and I'm not joking, he spends between 2 and 3 hours on an air chisel every afternoon. And my job is to go and feather out all of the filler and clean it all up, put the corrosion converted primer on, and then prep it to put the epoxy primer, the company I work for, UCOL, and then the 2K coating on. And it's amazing. I've learned so much. And you know what? Rust used to scare me. It doesn't scare me anymore. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's just, you just got to get on top of it. So, so Josh has been very, very helpful, and really we can't have anybody else on the ship. I mean, I have lots of people want to volunteer, and it's like it's not appropriate at the moment. Even though I'm still paying those 3 insurance policies, including liability volunteer insurance, but it'll happen. And we've got some great collaborators with Total Tools and a mental health group called HALT, which is a tradies mental health group, another inbound tourist operator, domestic called Trash Bags on Tour. So we're really getting a lot of collaborators, which is the time I've used in the downtime is to reach out to other like-minded people and say, hey, we've got this great ship that tells great stories in a great space that needs to be used and improved.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really, really positive on the whole. It really has. The more people can get involved and come and see it, the better it will be. You know, I mean, Dick Budzini, who's been absolutely inspirational and supportive in terms of understanding how he manages the Castlemaine.
Yeah.
On Gempier. You know, when the Castlemaine came to Williamstown 45 years ago, you could not walk on any part of the deck of the Castlemaine without falling through. It was that rusted and that badly decayed. It's just well played and well played. But it came here an absolute wreck, and it's a showpiece now. It's the pride of Williamstown. It's on postcards. This ship is still in survey condition, essentially. But we have a lot of work to do, and it has a lot more potential to offer to Williamstown, I hope, and certainly to Melbourne as a tourist venture and for education and conservation and all that stuff. So I'm inspired by what the Castlemaine have done. And if it wasn't for Dick and for the Castlemaine and that benchmark that had been set in Williamstown, no way. It was a resource that I knew we had that they could look at, and they have. He has helped me immensely. So there's been some really great support. I'm very, very fortunate. I wouldn't have done it.
So you mentioned about it being in survey. Jonathan wanted to know, is it still seaworthy?
Yes, absolutely.
So engines work?
Absolutely. So I had a meeting with Kangan Institute of TAFE and the Director of Automotive and Engineering, who he couldn't come on the ship, but I went down and did a video and I showed him all the stuff. It's 1975 technology and probably not fit for modern curriculum, but nonetheless, Sea Shepherd spent $150,000 on engine overhaul 3 years before it was retired. The main reason they retired it, and verifiable through Jeff Hansen, the GM of Australia Sea Shepherd, is it's not fit for their purpose anymore. Have you seen the way they ran their ship? Literally into other ships. This is a 550-ton ship. They're running it into 5,000-ton ships and running really hard at full capacity at 20 knots. It's an old girl. It's too much. It's like, it wasn't fit for their purpose anymore. It's just too risky to take to the Southern Ocean and run it that hard.
It used to be a tuna fishing vessel. Is that correct?
No, it was a Scottish fishery patrol vessel. So it's essentially been protecting.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, it says Scott. So yeah, it's built as a Scottish fisheries patrol vessel. Big for a patrol vessel, but they must take it seriously in Scotland, I guess. So yeah, very, very heavy, built for heavy seas and cold conditions. And it's a tough old bird.
Yeah, and because it's got the helicopter hangar there as well, hasn't it? The Steve Shepherd put that on. Yes,
that was put on many years after they bought the ship. Sea Shepherd use drones now, not helicopters, which is great. But they put the helicopter hangar on, and then the Japanese would just, chuck stuff at it to try and foul up the propellers and so forth of the helicopter. So I don't know who got talking to who, but Anthony Kiedis, who's the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, gifted the building and the finance, the helicopter hangar, which is a retractable helicopter hangar for the ship, and it was very instrumental in finding the Japanese factory ships. But when I talk about Sea Shepherd's campaigns, I feel like a bit of a phony because I never was involved with Sea Shepherd. I didn't do any campaigns. I did a couple of little fundraisers for birthdays, and I've learned a lot more about what they've done and what they do. And I wasn't in a position to do a campaign ever. I was working with my father's business. I felt I was too old and I couldn't uproot and go to the Southern Ocean, and I hate the cold. So this is my campaign to try and keep the ships what it's done. 17 campaigns, majority for Australia's interests. So it's really important.
Yeah, I think I think going forward, I'm hoping that there'll be, good, support and grants and so forth that, you'll be able to sort of go on to. And the company that you currently work for have been helping you out with some supplies and things. Probably our members might be interested in that product. So if you could just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, okay, thanks. No, they've been amazing, and the reason I'm working for them, I was researching the right products to use on the ship for epoxy primers and rust recovery products and coatings and so forth, and this product kept on coming up called Raptor. It was mainly used in automotive and caravans, RVs, 4x4s, digging deeper, and I thought, that sounds great for the ship. It sounds really good, and it was very DIY friendly. So I've ends up that I have a job with them, and my boss has just been so great. So the company's called U-Pole, but their main brand is called Raptor. It's a 2-pack textured coating, really tough. Like it's film build. You can change the film build. You can do anything with it really, but its corrosion protection and its durability is just. Once you go around with an air chisel and you do all the prep and the priming, that you don't want to be doing that every 3 years. So we're doing everything exactly the way it should be, and it should be good for 10 years. And I believe it will. And it looks amazing. The painting is the exciting bit. The prep's terrible. It's awful. It's hard. Everyone knows that, but don't skimp on the prep. So I'm very lucky to be working with the company, and I was kept on, I did go down to part-time for a couple of months, which was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
But, my boss goes, just go down to the ship and put some product on and get some photos and do a bit of a blog. And my job with U-Pole and Raptor is to build up the marine distribution and the marketability of it, and also automotive retail. So we're launching the product through Repco in December and January. They're an amazing business, and it's going gangbusters. They've had their own challenges. The products are made in the UK, and COVID's affected the UK so much so that management has to go down and pack product. And then, Sydney industrial action at the wharves has meant we haven't been able to unload containers. But, they're working through it. And I actually had a call from my boss this afternoon. And it's strange. He called me at 6 o'clock tonight. And, hi, Damien. He's in South Australia, and he said, "Oh yeah, just talking about next year and what we want you to do." And he said, "Look, we want to put you on this, but we only want you to work 4 days a week." Like, nah, I don't think I need that. Just how about I work 5 days a week, and you just give me the difference in product.
Yeah.
So I can continue to. I want this whole ship repainted. And all the rust recovery done in the next 12 months.
Wow. Okay.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's happening. We've done about, with the aft and upstairs, we've probably done about, I don't know, let's say 1/10 of the ship in the last 4 months with 2 people.
Yeah.
So with Total Tools and the Do Crew program and some other programs we've got, and product, the right product, there's no reason we can't have this ship looking like new. It's exciting, and it's a great asset to, there's lots of ships that deserve a second chance. So many. I mean, I read about them all the time, and there's lots of things that you have to put in place to make that happen. And I just feel that we've got an opportunity with my job and with Williamstown, with the site. Hopefully it lasts longer than suggested. But we're exploring other options for the site outside of Williamstown if we have to. And that's something very positive too. So
yeah.
Always got to have a backup plan, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. And you might want to sell some of your product to Ryan at Royals. He's the yard manager there, and I think
Ryan, Ryan would love it.
There's plenty of rust at that club at the moment. So
well, you know what? If Ryan's on the chat, you got to come down and see how we go about it. It's just, it used to freak me out, but it's a simple process now, and I've learned this is all I do after work and on the weekends is potter around the ship. And like I said, I've always got paint on me somewhere, either in my hair or my clothes or whatever, but I've learned there's no substitute for learning about your product or how to go about things, and rust recovery is something that I've become a little bit obsessed about.
So it certainly helps with you selling the product to say, well, this is what I've painted, to show a picture of Steve Irwin.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great. I just feel, it's really hard to let go of, the family business, the soap business, but I just feel that I've almost hit a different part of my career, something it really combines all the things I love, sort of recycling, repurposing, improving what you've already got, selling a message of resilience and hope and conservation that this ship does, and then applying products that give things more life, a longer life, instead of just chucking shit out and fix it up, it's not that bad, so it's a bit rusty, don't worry about it,
Yeah.
And the same thing, I mean, U-Pole do lots of glass fillers and body fillers and all sorts of stuff. They've got this fantastic product called Fiberall. It's the biggest secret in the world. So I just said to the UK and U-Pole, you've got to do retail packaging for that, because somebody in retail, like channelers, they won't know what this product is. It's a pouch. I wish I had some down here. It's a pouch of fiberglass filler, really, really short strand fiberglass filler, putty. You mix it up, fill a hole, shape it, done, paint it. I'm talking 30 minutes. So if you have a bit of a bingle on the finish or a start line, over a beer, you can sand it, fill it, shape it, fuck a bit of primer on it.
I know certainly my boat Outlaw could do with some, and LaCasca.
I'll bring it round. It's just the best. There's exciting stuff that I really think, I can sell that. Because I thought I could only sell stuff that, it's my family's business, and I'm happy to talk about these products. They're great.
So how do you spell the company name? U-Pole? U-P-O-L-E?
Just a U with a P-O-L. U-Pole. Okay. And Raptor Coatings. Anyway, come down to the ship. Any of you guys come down to the ship and check it out. Check out the I mean, I'm a big picture person. I'm not in detail, so I'm a bit monty at it. Come down and see what I've managed to do. So you go, if you can do that, I can do that. So we're going to do the top sides of nuts as nuts comes out, and we'll tape it up. And I think Tony Green and I have been gifted the task. So we're not going to spray Raptor on. We're going to tape it up and roller it on. It's fantastic. So
No, I'm very interested, because I've got a steel keel which probably needs a bit of work. So we'll go into that one there.
Cool.
So you mentioned about the Shenandoah. Some people may not be familiar with that. 155 years ago, anti-whaling. Tell us the little story about that if you can.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a great story, and I didn't know about it. My dad didn't know about it. My grandparents, who built the house on the Strand when they moved the soap factory from Fitzroy in the 50s, I don't know, Dad could never figure out. He only started researching it after they passed away. Why did you call your house a Shenandoah? They had this beautiful sign, the Shenandoah House, right on the Strand, 49 the Strand. And Dad researched it, and he found this story about this ship that visited Williamstown. It was a Confederate raider in the Confederate War, obviously, and its sole job as a Confederate raider was to go around and sink Yankee whaling boats, because whale oil was the crude oil at the time. Before Rockefeller discovered petroleum, whale oil was commerce, and that's what funded the Yankees' efforts in the Confederate War. So to cut off their financial gains, I guess, you go and sink these whaling boats. So the Shenandoah was the most successful out of the Yankee whaling fleet, anti-whaling fleet, and it was run and seconded by a chap called James Waddell, and it was purchased. The Sea King, as it was known, was purchased in London which would have breached all the neutralities. But anyway, it was refitted and went on, sunk a dozen or so Yankee whaling boats, and they needed to stop into Williamstown for repairs. And as it did, and it was quite a thing. 5,000 people visited, and don't forget, Williamstown at the time, Melbourne at the time, only had a population of 50,000. So a lot of the population came and visit this Confederate, amazing ship, the Shenandoah, CSS Shenandoah. And it was a big brouhaha because we're supposed to maintain neutrality, and we're putting on grand balls for these Confederate sailors. And it was a great story. And as it goes, they left Williamstown 155 years ago this year, and with, a couple of dozen Australian recruits that apparently hid and went on to join the Confederate War. Anyway, those stories and more is why the Americans sued the British government. We were a British colony at the time, for over close to £1 billion, because apparently Melbourne assisted in the Confederate War, and we were supposed to be a British colony that didn't. Anyway, the story of the Shenandoah was the inspiration for the site that now is Seaworks, which I just think that the story is terrific now, that the site that was motivated. My father, when he was studying or trying to find out why his parents' house was called Shenandoah, found out the story of the raider, and he created this club called the Shenandoah Society, and we used to have meetings at the Stag's Head, and these very serious reenactors from Brighton would come in their polished Confederate uniforms and buttons to the Stag's Head. And we're all, had a few drinks by then, and they'll come and they'll march through very serious Confederate raider style, do their brouhaha. They wouldn't drink anything, and then they'll turn on tail and leave. It was just the best. It was so much fun. Anyway, we would talk about the stories of the Shenandoah and the visit. We'll research it, and then the Shenandoah Society. People go, "What's the Shenandoah Society?" So Dad changed the name to the WMA, the Williamstown Maritime Association, and a whole bunch of volunteers. It was really cool. Community volunteers came and cleaned up the site now that is Seaworks, and created a clubhouse, which is now called the Pirate Tavern, and I guess that was 15 odd years ago. But the story of that ship, essentially, the anti-whaling ship Shenandoah, is the reason this site is here, and the fact that now there's a very famous retired anti-whaling ship in the same spot, which has recently been recognised as a historic vessel by the National Maritime Association too. I just think it's such a brilliant story, and again, selling is storytelling. You sell that story to international audience, they'll come here as tourists and celebrate the site. I just think it was too good to be true. It was too good not to do this. And I hope it's realised. Anyway, it's very early days. We were only operational for 4 months before COVID shut down. As a venue, so we've got to make the most of this summer. So I want everyone to come.
And what sort of how many people are you licensed for? What sort of things can you cater for there?
So we had a building audit, an inspection and safety audit, and they came up with a number which I thought was ludicrous. They said, "Oh, your building survey inspection report says you got your venue is licensed for 200," and I said, "There's no way. No way in my lifetime, in my involvement, I'm having 200 people on this ship." So we capped it at, we did have a function for 150, and the ship managed great, but it's a daytime venue only. I don't want to be responsible. Like down the track, who knows, and I'm not involved, they can do whatever they want, but I don't want to be responsible for that. We're only open for 4 hours on a Saturday and Sunday, daytime hours, with some private functions. So the biggest event we had was December last year for a local tourist operator, very well known, and that was 150. And it's like, we obviously had security and all that stuff, and it was brilliant. It worked. It was terrific, actually. But it was a little bit stressful because, there was volunteers and some security, but everything was good. I don't want to do that again. So we'll probably have functions for 80 to 100, maybe at max. But like I said, we're only operational for 4 hours on a Saturday and Sunday. And I'm going to open up for Fridays, like a local type sunset thing. It's beautiful down here at sunset. It's just amazing.
So when do you think you'll potentially be open again?
From the 7th. Yep, from the 7th. So I booked a small band, a local band on the 8th. So every Sunday we'd have a small live music thing on the aft. So we've got a very small, like a short order sort of bar, just wine and beer and snacks. And
Yeah.
3 grains have taken over our wood-fired pizza oven, which we were managing last year, and it was, we were voted the best eats by a very famous Inner West sort of blogger. We had lots and lots and lots of great reviews, and it was very early days, but thank God 3 grains have taken over our pizza oven, and Parlo, who is the owner of 3 grains, is absolute professional and passionate and quite a serious man about his product and what he does. So he's spent some time improving the space up there in the helicopter hangar where we have our wood-fired pizza oven, and that's just going to be a dedicated restaurant space for 3 grains pizza. And we'll just want people to come down here and enjoy the ship tour, enjoy the ship, give us some feedback, what they think, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. It's supposed to be, the best time when the WMA was being established and when my father established SeaWorks, the best time was when it was a community run, community feedback, community involvement, and that's what I wanted. That's what I want in the ship. I don't want anyone to own it. I just want it to be, this is our space. This is, and everyone to be proud of it, like they should be this site,
Yeah.
So
Should we have a working bee? Get all the Hobsons Bay members down to the club for a working bee.
Yeah, well, come and try out Raptor. That's what I say. Yeah, I'll do all the hard work. I'll do all the prepping, and come and give it a go. It's bloody great stuff. So that, and I'm very mindful, and I never ever wanted to ask anybody for anything. I have jumped onto Hobsons Bay City Council website recently and found out what sort of grants there are for people that have been financially impacted, and it was never my intention to do that. I wanted it to have its own financial model. I didn't want anybody to do anything for free. I just, I wanted it. I wanted it to stand on its own 2 feet, which it was, and it could have, and it will.
Yeah.
But we've been thrown like lots of businesses, and this essentially it's not for profit, but it's a business that needs to pay its way. It needs to pay mooring fees to make SeaWorks a better site, which it can and will be.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put that burden on anyone, and that has been challenging, but we'll see it through. I've got assets I can sell. If I'm that committed to this project, I do have assets that I can sell and will if I need to.
Yeah. Because SeaWorks, I mean, what an amazing transformation that's had.
It's gorgeous. I'm very proud of it. I haven't been involved in this site for 10 years, and it's just like when I came down here, when I started working here as a part-time events manager, it's like, oh my God, I feel so proud for this site. I mean, it was a long time since I was sweeping up possum poo and helping put the bar together with Mick Kennedy and all the crew back in the day. So it's really amazing to see, and it can and will be the jewel in Williamstown's crown. It really can.
Yeah, and I think because it's got that outdoor area space as well, so that's really going to be very important. The outdoor,
nothing like it in Australia. There's nothing like it. The view, the access to the water. The townscape that is Nelson Place, you couldn't make it in a Hollywood movie set. It's so beautiful, it's almost there. It's almost there. And like I said, the intent for this ship and for taking this massive liability on is to champion the site, is to champion Williamstown, is to champion conservation, the story of like I said, stunning storytelling, to keep those stories alive and engage tourism. It's got a huge relevance for Williamstown, and I want people to come and see and get involved. I want it to stay here, but if it doesn't, we've got some backup plans, and we'll deal with it.
No, that's it. Now, is there questions from the audience? Rod has mentioned also that one of our members at Hobsons Bay was the captain, the Steve Irwin. Do you know Vincent Hayes? Yeah,
I don't know him, but I know I've heard his name. I've not met him.
Yeah,
I didn't know that, really. Wow, that's what it is. It's really interesting because when this opportunity presented, I put my hand up to do the pop up, and then it turned into what it is now. not my intention.
Hmm.
I just don't think that people quite realise, including Sea Shepherd volunteer chapter, that I was authentic about it. I mean, I've been questioned by SeaWorks, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And you know, when I was confronted by that question, it's like, wow, okay, so people don't understand my real intent.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Like, because I love Williamstown, I love what Sea Shepherd do, and it was just like this synergy that it's like, this is too good not to have a crack at.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I had a family and all that sort of stuff
Sure.
to worry about, I wouldn't do it because, you know, there's risks associated. But, you know, I'll never die wondering, David, about all the things I've done in my life, from charter boats to subdivisions and moving houses with trucks and all sorts of crazy shit I've done. I will never die wondering.
So,
most of them work out.
Lynn is wondering if you can actually play the guitar. There's a guitar in the
I
background.
can play the guitar, but I can't sing, which is a cruel, cruel way to.
I think that's probably the better way to be. That way, let the other people do the thing.
If I had someone to sing, Panda can only snore, my dog. But when I was at high school, I was fortunate enough to travel to North America and to LA in a school band, just a guitar band.
Okay.
We did covers and the Beatles and Roy Orbison and some cool and some daggy songs. But yeah, I was part of that, and we travelled a lot. Big shopping malls and Calgary Stampede and
okay.
yeah, Lake Louise and Edmonton Mall and.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky. I was a bit of a dum-dum at school, but sports and music and manual arts.
Yes.
Everyone's different, aren't they? But,
yeah. And Rod want to know, did you ever meet Steve Irwin?
No, unfortunately. I mean, I do email and keep in contact with the Irwin family about the integrity of what I'm doing with the ship, to make sure that they're happy with its direction. And actually Bob Irwin, indirectly through Jeff Hansen, has been very supportive of the ship's intent and what it's set up for, and he's offered his support if and when it's requested. You know, again, it's such early days. I really want to get the ship to a state that everyone's proud of it, and then say, you know what, okay, I don't want to ask anybody for anything really. I mean, I've already lent on SeaWorks a bit because I haven't been able to pay my mooring fees. But it's, you know, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Those things will happen, and the value that I want to and will put back into the site will repay it tenfold. If that's what they want, I don't know. So, yeah, I would have loved to meet, you know, all my heroes, Jacques Cousteau, David Attenborough, Jane Goodall, Steve Irwin. I mean, Paul Watson, you know, the co-founders of Greenpeace behind me here, one with Paul Watson and Bob Barker. The ship was called Bob Barker after its first name. Interesting fact: this ship was called, its first name when it was christened, when it was launched, was called Westerer in Scotland, and Westerer literally translation means from the west. And now here we are in the west, from the west. And the second name was Robert Hunter, after the co-founder of Greenpeace. Yeah. And Paul Watson was also a founder of Greenpeace, obviously now the founder of Sea Shepherd. So, yeah, this ship has a lot of history. Robert Hunter was cremated off the bow of the ship, as was Paul Watson's brother. So, you know, I mean, there's so many sentimental reasons. I'm a bit of a sentimentalist as well, about Williamstown, about the ship, about, you know, that's where your passion comes from, isn't it? So,
yeah. No, it's and I can understand that why you're connecting with the Irwin family, to make sure that they, you know, because it's Steve's name on there, and they you know, people may be connected or whatever. Yeah.
Well, you know, I sent them. Well, obviously, I invited them to the launch of the ship, and the repurpose, which was October last year, and they said they would have loved to, but they were in LA at the time shooting Meet the Irwins.
Okay.
And then I sent them another email, and I can't remember. I've got a space that I'd like to keep aside for the Irwin family and the Irwin Foundation.
Yeah.
They do amazing work outside of Australia Zoo, unbelievable work, doesn't get enough recognition. I said, I've got the space that I'd like you to use. If you could have somebody curate how that would look.
Mm.
And they said, you know what, we're in caretaker mode. We're feeding X amount of animals with no income as well. Can you get back to us? But thank you very much. Yes, we would like to readdress that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just, you know, everything's about timing. And
Yeah.
so I want to keep that relevance, definitely.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
do amazing conservation work and education.
Yeah.
You know, it's what we're trying to do too.
Yeah, well, I think we'll certainly promote the fact that you'll be reopening on the 7th and the 8th, and happy to promote that. I'm certainly interested in those products you talked about as well. And,
yeah, I'll get down to the club. Let's do it. Let's do like a mini trade show.
Yeah, but, well, I think there's a lot of scope for that as well.
I want to see the biggest thing on a rail of whoever's yacht, and we'll come and fix it in like, you know, 40 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. For those, we've got a few wooden boat owners here, probably not as interested, but that would work there.
No, fillers. No, this filler is it goes wood, steel, composite, gel coat, whatever. No, serious.
Okay, excellent. All right. So that almost is a wrap. If there if you've got any more last questions, otherwise, Kerrie, you got any last comments? You're a fantastic speaker.
Well, you're a good director, David. Steven Spielberg. No, you know what? The only thing I'd like to say is that the thing that I've learned about this project is lots of people have had opinions, good, bad, and indifferent. I'd really like anybody that's got an opinion, good, bad, or indifferent, just to come on the ship and have a look and see for themselves, learn a little bit about what is being done and what is done, and then make an opinion.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of opinions being flung around without enough information.
Well,
I just think it could be such a great thing for generations to come to have something as fantastic as this in our backyard, really.
Yeah. That's it. I think that's with so many things these days, you gotta do your research first and before you. Yeah.
I mean, social media. Everybody's an expert. Everybody says, "Oh, it's a rust bucket." It's and you know, come and have a look. You know, tell me what your concerns are, and maybe there is an issue that I need to look at.
Yeah.
You know, I just find the lack of direct, you know, communication. Like I said, good, bad, or different. Yeah, the intent is to champion Williamstown and maritime conservation, marine conservation, all the things we love. We love the ocean, obviously. That's where all sail is. I want it to be a better place, and this ship is a great spokesperson for that. So come and check it out and help mould what it should say. You know.
Yeah. Well, you're certainly getting a lot of people thanking you for tonight and wishing you the good luck and so forth in there. So,
thanks, David. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's
see you at the club soon.
Yeah,
go nuts.
Go nuts. Yes. Yeah. So I'll hand you back over to Rod, and
Could I just say a couple of things? Well done, Kerrie. Thank you, Michael from
Michael.
And well done. You and I both have seas to travel and oceans to mountains to climb, I know. But well done, and it's good to see you there. Also, just on the Shenandoah, I don't know if you've seen that book.
I have indeed, yes, indeed.
And that's a fantastic book for everybody to look up.
It's a great one. Thank you for that.
The last shots fired in the Confederate War or the American Civil War was from the Shenandoah by Australians or from
after the Confederate War. It's a great read.
Months after, yeah. Thanks, Kerrie.
Thank you. Thanks.
There was a painting on the house up on Ann Street, which is now hidden away, isn't there?
They left. That's Dad's house. Yeah, they left about a metre or so. It'll probably be protected from the easterly sun, actually. But the mural on the other side, the westerly side, is the people that bought Dad's house are great people. So I'm going to have a little bit of a chat with them and see if we can do you know, if they'll invest in just getting it fixed up a little bit. But Darryl Fox, a very famous local artist, he did both murals and they're brilliant. Big one. Actually, in Paul Watson, the founder of Sea Shepherd, he wrote a book called The War That Saved the Whales. This year he published it. It's an easy read. It's got a chapter, actually, if you go to YouTube, he did an audio reading. I was very honoured. The co-founder of Greenpeace, the founder of Sea Shepherd, he did an audio reading for Ship4Good, for the Steve Irwin, specifically on the chapter in the book on the visit in Williamstown and the relevance of the CSS Shenandoah and the coincidences with his vessels 155 years. But he specifically mentions my father's house, that he walked up Ann Street and saw the fact that this Confederate raider, that the story wasn't lost, and you've got to keep telling stories for them to be relevant. And the story of the Shenandoah, like I said, it was directly the inspiration for this site that Mick Kennedy, gone to God a long time ago, and my father created with an amazing bunch of community volunteers. And you've got to get the community back involved in the site, I believe, and definitely in the ship. So yeah, I mean, let's hope. And there's a terrific study that's been done at the moment, and hopefully the findings of that will be published at the end of the year. That will give us some direction of how our foreshore is used and what happens next with Williamstown. So there's lots of cool things happening.
Yeah, it's certainly a time for the community to really come together in so many ways and support everybody. Yeah, I think that's really, the next few years are going to be really vital for that. So hopefully things could be for the better. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll give it a red hot crack. Like
we'll
I said,
give it a red hot crack.
Don't die wondering, David. We'll just please come visit and enjoy.
So I think everyone's suitably motivated now, and I'll hand you over back to Rod. Do you have any comments, Rod?
Look, Dave, you've done a fantastic job. You're better than David Frost again, so it's fantastic. Kerrie, wonderful. I know a lot more now, and I think everyone in Williamstown needs to know what you're trying to achieve, and I think that's fabulous. And we're very proud to have you as a member of our club. So
thanks for the invite.
Yeah, we'll end now because it's going to be available, this video, everywhere. I mean, it's available on public. It'll be on YouTube. So I hope it's a great history of our COVID period.
Yeah.
And who knows, Kerrie, you might be our last lockdown chat, because we might not be locked down next week.
Well, let's hope so. But I just want to say, I think anybody that wants to know what's happening on the ship, our events, our collaborations, follow us on Facebook, Ship with the number 4, Good. MVC Girl.
Ship4Good.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
And then you can see get involved. Come and tell me what you want to do with the ship. Coming into space, whatever. It's as long as it's in our constitution as our not-for-profit, it's all on.
Yeah.
All right.
Excellent.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Good night.
And go the Cats. Come on.
Everyone.
Go Cats. There we go.
Go Cats. Thanks, guys. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to go for a sail.
Yeah. Thanks, Kerrie. Very, very good.
Thanks, guys.